Hello, and welcome again to this amazing opportunity for you to be closer in connection to your heart and really get grounded, rooted, and present to what it means to be living that heart centered life. Most of you all know by this point, my name is Jen Murray, and I'm the founder and CEO. CEO stands for me as centered, meaning that I am grounded and rooted in honoring the ancestral peoples who I come from, energetic, meaning that I am truly embodying and embracing all energies that flow in and through and to me. And I am optimistic. And I see that there is hope on the horizon for what we are rebirthing and creating consciously and intentionally in our world for ourselves and for future generations. And so I am so excited because I'm here today with a fellow energy worker and someone I may wager to bet would consider themselves to be a collective healer in all respects of the work that they do, truly seeking to create alignment. And as you all are aware, my framework is around heart aligned equitable leadership. And I know that Christian is here with us today to share more into the work that he does and how he has been bringing heart alignment and heart connection through energy work in the world. And so I will ask Christian for you to expand a little bit more about who exactly you are, and more offering about what you have done through your work with Standing Stones Healing. And I would also invite you in these opening remarks to just share a little bit about what it means for you to be in your heart center and living from that place of heart.
Oh, thank you so much, Jen. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the honor of being here and sharing these beautiful heart center practices and way of living with you and the listeners. So thank you. And thank you all so very much for listening. So I'm Christian of Standing Stones Healing, and I would like to just take a moment and acknowledge that I currently am on the land of the Susquehannock tribe, the original inhabitants of the land where I stand. So thank you, Susquehannock. I'd like to honor them in all of my ceremonies. I am passionate about life change and passionate about approaching life change from a heart centered standpoint. Life change is something that we all experience, and it's a normal part of life. But too often during our life changes, we kind of tend to forget that. And we have all kinds of unsettled feelings, all kinds of confusion and doubt. And at Standing Stones Healing, my mission is to help with that. So I work to encourage your transformation during life changes and transitions, specifically with Reiki, card reading, and coaching. And so for me, approaching a heart-centered way with life changes is really all about coming back to ourselves, coming back to the realization of the normalcy of life change, and recognizing and honoring that, and even giving praise to those important life passages. For me, Jen, I had a very important life passage in my own life back in 2008. At that time, I had been in an abusive relationship for a couple of years. I did not realize it was an abusive relationship until after I was out of the relationship, talked to a therapist about it, and he said, "You are in an abusive relationship." Also, at that time, I was in a very toxic work environment. It was the kind of place where I was just sick, literally sick, to go to work. And on top of that, my best friendship was crumbling. We'd been best friends for 10 years, and it was just falling apart. All at once, I was finally able to break free from the abusive relationship. I was fired from that toxic work environment, and my friendship dissolved. And when I say all at once, I mean all within the same month. So it was quite a challenging time. Talk about life change. And at that time, at that moment, I really hit an emotional wall to the point where I just didn't know what to feel, didn't know where to turn. I was literally, I could not rise from my puddle of tears. And it was in that moment, at that time, where I realized that I was really being called to live in a more heart centered kind of way. Now, I've always been a heart centered kind of person. And life happens. We get off track. We lose our way on our path, or at least the path that resonates with us. And so for me, at that time, I realized that I needed to make some changes. I realized that I needed to live in a more heart centered way. And I made the commitment that I was going to commit myself to healthy relationships, to coming back to myself, and to really living in a much more heart centered way. So it was a powerful time, Jen. And for me, it really was a real catalyst for change in my own life. So that as all of this external profound change was happening to me, it really was a catalyst for internal change and an opportunity for me to make some very needed and very important changes in my own life to live in a much more heart centered way.
Yes. Oh, I so appreciate that. And there have been many conversations throughout these 21 days where people are truly getting various vantage points and different perspectives on what it looks like to understand being out of alignment and then resuming alignment with our heart center. And so that is a really key, share from your part of like this vulnerability and this radical openness and honesty about, the from the like mud comes the lotus, as they say in Buddhist practices, right? So like this idea of like it might have been really muddy and really mucky, and it might have just been like in a month's period that it all was condensed, but like that's how energy work is, right? So energy work is that idea that like, we are really truly moving energy through us, to us, and with us. And so that gift that you were given, even though it came wrapped in maybe less appealing package, I think really was sort of that opportunity for you to, acknowledge and recognize, what does it look like for me to be in heart alignment. And so thank you for that share, Christian. That's really helpful. And I would love for you to like sort of, when you think of what it means for you to be in your heart center and to be in that heart alignment, and to to be in that practice of being in heart alignment, acknowledging that it's not a destination, it's a journey. What is it that you would say is sort of kind of, what are your go-to practices for your own in your own daily life that you use, or in crisis situations, as you just described, experiencing multiple challenges at once? What are the things that you sort of turn to help you rekindle that fire within your heart?
Well, thank you, Jen, for that question very much. And the things that I did back at that time, and when I say the things that I did, in order to really build my life back together, it was a year long process. So I didn't have another job for a year. I needed the time to rebuild. Fortunately, because I was fired, I was able to go on unemployment. So financially, I was able to take that time and really build my life back. And I used 7 powerful, transformative practices that really helped me to bring myself back to myself, to bring myself back into alignment, and to really move forward in my life in a very heart centered way. And those 7 practices were gratitude, number one, to me is the number one heart centered practice, and that it's the number one way to bring us back to ourselves and to bring us back into alignment. I firmly believe it is the number one practice. Number
Yeah, can I put a quick pause on you?
Yeah, please,
Because
please.
the interview that kicked us off with the dancing data doctor really was a reminder for me. One of the expressions that Dr. Barb Wesson utilizes as we're dancing with our hearts is to say, what are you able to receive in your heart? And knowing that gratitude is what lives in our hearts. So if we can be in a space where we can really connect with what we are appreciating, what we are grateful for, that is in our heart center. And I think there's a lot of ways that we can frame and talk about gratitude, and I'm sure we'll get more into that. But I wanted to thank you for letting me interject, because I do think it's helpful to weave that message that, like, I think that there are so many people who think like, well, I need to go on some luxury vacation, or I need to like have a silent retreat for 5 days, or I need to do something really dramatic to like get reconnected to my heart center. And a simple gratitude practice, or in a practice where you're like finding like 2 to 3 things that are just in your life, whether it was like a sip of water that was refreshing, or something to that nature that like is just the very basic elements of what we as humans need, can be, and having an appreciation for those can be so revolutionary in our practices of being more heart aligned and heart centered. So thank you for naming that first one.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm a really simple guy, and I like simple practices. I like easy and accessible practices that anyone can do.
Mm-hmm.
And so these 7 practices truly are accessible to anyone. The second one is clearing and decluttering, because this is a really powerful way for us to clear away old energy and to welcome in, create the space for new energy.
Yes.
So getting rid of the things that no longer serve us. Number 3 is nature. I believe that Mother Earth is the greatest healer. And so getting in touch with nature. During that year, I went on a lot of hikes. I spent a lot of time in nature, and nature is incredibly healing.
Mm-hmm.
Number
Mm-hmm.
4 is walking. Now, walking, for some is a challenge. Some people are challenged to walk. Some people do use a wheelchair, a walker. And so, walking in the sense that moving forward, quiet time, the ability to just move forward. So I like to walk. I'm very fortunate to, be able to walk without pain. And so I like to walk. I enjoy walking, and I do that frequently as part of my spiritual practice. And so walking is a great way to bring in creativity, to clear our minds, and to get a new perspective. So that was
Mm-hmm.
something that I did every day during that year to help bring myself back to center. Number 5 is something that I also really got back to that I had done before, but during my time of turmoil, I really got away from, and that is journaling. I'm a big
Mm.
proponent of journaling and the power of journaling to help us gain clarity, to help us gain insights and new perspectives, to help us be more compassionate towards ourselves, and to therefore be more compassionate to one another. And so I credit journaling with a deepening of my own compassion. So thank you, journaling.
Yes, I love that. I love that.
Number 6 is ritual. Ritual is a very powerful practice for signaling to the brain that change has occurred and for ushering in new phases. One of the things that Western dominant culture is not so good at is ritual and rites of passage. And I'm a big believer in those. And so, if you think about our cultural rituals, what are they? You've got graduation, you've got marriage, you've got funerals. What else you got? Not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yet ritual is something that we can really lean on to help us really step over a threshold and cross into a new phase. And so, doing rituals, I'll tell you the one ritual that I did that was very meaningful for me at that time was I burned the shirt that I wore for my job. You know, the shirt that I was issued for my work. I burned that.
Yes, yes.
And that was a
Transmute, right? You're transmuting the
exactly.
energy. Yes, shifting,
Yeah, and that
changing.
was a very healing and meaningful ritual. But a ritual doesn't have to be anything big or elaborate. Even the smallest rituals can signal to the brain that change is taking place. So, ritual is very helpful during any life change and for bringing us back to our heart center. And
Yeah.
finally, silence. So, taking time for silence in whatever way, shape, or form that may take. Now, to me, that often means meditation. So, I do meditate daily. And it also means to me washing my dishes and spending that time in silence washing my dishes or gardening, something I absolutely love to do. That is a silent practice as well. So, silence, stillness in all of its ways, shapes, and forms. So, Jen, these are the 7 practices that I used to really bring myself back to myself, to heal and to grow from that massive change and to live much more in alignment. Many of these practices I was doing before, but as I got out of alignment, I got away from those. And
Mm.
so that time was really just a time of bringing myself back to those practices and deepening my experience with them.
Oh, thank you. That's lovely, Christian. And I love to, there's a lot of interconnectedness between those practices. As you even shared the gardening metaphor, or the gardening, it like came to me as a metaphor of like it's tending your inner garden when there's in the silence and the stillness, but the garden is also part of like nature and watching nature grow, and you're looking at the transformation that's happening in our world. So such a beautiful way of thinking about what it means. And I guess that brings me to the next question, and also just an acknowledgement from my part, because I know you beautifully named in where you're connecting into this virtual space from, and I would love to name in where I'm connecting in from this space. And I do feel that it's of great significance as a white settler colonial person, who has an immense amount of privilege, and you acknowledge the dominant culture very clearly in the Western world, and the way in which whiteness shows up is oftentimes to just override these very meaningful, intentional, and impactful practices where we do things like land acknowledgements and connect to the earth and understand how we can be in better, like more right relations with the earth. And so I would like to say that I'm connecting in from the unceded territory and the stolen traditional lands of the traditional Potawatomi, Ho-Chunk, and Menominee homelands along the southwest shores of Michigamme, North America's largest system of freshwater lakes. And that's where the Milwaukee, the Menominee, and the Kinnickinnic rivers meet, and the people of Wisconsin's sovereign Anishinaabe, Ho-Chunk, Menominee, Oneida, and Mohican nations remain present. And I'm sharing that from the Electa Quinney Institute at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. That is a resource that they have offered. And there are many ways, if you have not found a place to be able to connect to where it is that you are in relationship with the land, I would encourage you to do so. And I know that the medicine woman who spoke earlier in this series, Rebecca Llewellyn, and really did bring us into a connection to the nature and the energies that are in our world. And there are more people who will be naming and acknowledging and integrating these land acknowledgements, and also just these ways of being that are learned from the indigenous community. So I just appreciated you giving me that little space to like name that in and hold space for that energy. I as you spoke, I really was thinking about how there must be a deep meaning behind the name of your business and the work that you're doing. And so I would love for you to share with this community, because I know we have a lot of visionaries, revolutionaries, and evolutionaries. And I think of rocks as being grounding and very much part of the earth. And so I would love to hear what it is that like created this name for you, knowing the energy work and the oracle cards and the other aspects of what you share with people through coaching, and how that helps people to really truly just be reminded of what it is to like live from our hearts. So if you could share a little bit about Standing Stone Healing, and tell us where that came from and what that's about.
Oh, yes, Jen, thank you so much for this very nice question. I appreciate that and appreciate the opportunity. So, thank you. So, Standing Stone's Healing, I, of course, love standing stone structures, ancient standing stone structures, like Stonehenge, for
Mm-hmm,
instance.
mm-hmm,
To me, they are a true connection to our ancient past, the ancient past, and a recognition that we are one link in a long chain that goes back thousands of years, and that we are one link in a long chain that goes forward thousands of years.
yes.
And so to me, the stones really are there to show us a couple of things. Number one, here is this remnant from peoples long ago, and they are a reminder that we walk on sacred earth, that everywhere we step is sacred, that everywhere we walk, someone has walked before, and to honor them and to honor their memory and their influence and imprint, their footprint, if you will, upon the land. And so the stones are a reminder of those who have come before. They are also a reminder that things last.
Mm-hmm.
So things change, things fall apart, things crumble, and yet there are pieces that remain. There are still stones that stand.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, there are stones that fall. And so the acknowledgement that we can erect standing stones, and eventually, even if they last for 1,000 years, eventually those stones are going to fall. And that is no fault of anyone's. That is a
Mm,
part of life. And the stones too do and will return to the earth, just like we will return to the earth. And so it's just a very cyclical kind of an experience, and the honoring of that. Here are these ancient, mysterious, mystical, powerful structures,
mm, mm,
and they too still stand, and they too will fall. And it's a
mm.
beautiful reminder of that cycle. So thank you, Jen, for the opportunity to talk about that.
Yeah, yeah. There's an immense amount of heart energy. As someone who has jokingly and often frequently said that I'm a stoner. And when I say I'm a stoner, I'm of the crystal gem variety type. I think that that's been my typical language to say that I'm a lover of the crystal gems and the stones wisdom and the ways in which they are in our earth and of our earth, and have those healing components and dimensions. And so I just appreciate you offering us that reminder of this death and rebirth, which is what we're in this world. And so I've been asking folks, especially as somebody who is a white person in this world, the importance of knowing how do I show up in this work where I'm doing wellness work, and we have a world there where there are significant injustices, whether it's in war or it's in times of racial injustice, or times where there is just a pervasive white supremacist culture. I would love to have you share, if you have any wisdom from your own journey, of like what it looks like for you to be accountable to your heart in these times.
Yes, thank you, Jen. So, the first thing that I want to say the first thing that I know is that I don't know everything.
Yeah,
And I
true.
think that, yes, that to me, that is the very first place that I need to come from, that I need to start from, and that I need to recognize and acknowledge that I have a lot to learn. And, as someone who is frequently talking about all kinds of topics, transformation and healing and growth and life journey, sometimes it can sound like I know it all or that I feel like I know it all. And I definitely want to say for sure, I do not.
Yeah, you're not alone. I'm sure that there are many people who are laughing at this exact juncture, saying that, oh, yeah, I also don't know it all. And I don't think that we ever really come to know anything. And quite frankly, in this series, you have also seen us break up binary constructs of knowing all or nothing, which would be a binary that we can really, I think, release and send into that fire that you did with your shirt from your workplace, where we have it all be transmuted and transformed and shifted and changed into an energy that is more sustainable and regenerative and life-giving. So yes, I'm right there with you. None of us know everything or nothing. We have some inherent knowledge that comes from within us, and that's the wisdom that we get to listen to in this life journey.
Yes, absolutely. And the second thing I know is that compassion
Mm,
is so incredibly important. And when I say compassion, what I mean is being able to open your heart, to lead with the heart, to recognize that the learning and the understanding is never ending, and to be open to everyone else's experiences, where they come from, their perspectives, and to honor that. Even if
mm,
it's not something that resonates with me, to honor that. That's really what is at the core of it all for me, is compassion with honor. One of my core values, as a matter of fact, I have 5 core
yes.
values in my life that really guide my life. They are love, gratitude, kindness, compassion, and respect. And I am always striving to bring all of those things to an increasing number of moments in my life. And so, even though I don't know it all, even though I have a lot to learn, I know if I bring those 5 things, if I show up increasingly with those 5 things, I'm going to be okay.
Oh, I love it. I love it. What I so appreciate is you've offered us. I hope that folks who are tuning in now and catching us on the replay are really taking some notes and getting really crystal clear about what are your values and what are the values that like land and live in your heart. And also, I think that Christians offered this amazing idea of what are some practices that I might just integrate into my daily life, and ones that can take me 30 seconds or
Yes.
less, and something that I do that doesn't have to feel like I'm, you know, obligated to do it, but rather I'm getting to do it and I get to be in that space of really just reveling in the moments that my heart is alive. And so yeah, I just want to say thank you for those pieces, and I know that you have a generous offer that I'd love for you to share. What is this generous offer that you're giving to this community who's tuned in, and as a free gift offering?
Oh, thank you, Jen, so much. Well, I do want to make sure that everyone is welcome and is invited to get my free life change encouragement kit.
Yeah.
So, in that kit, there is my Standing Like the Stones book, and it offers all of my best tips for managing and thriving during life change, all of the most important things to do. Because life changes, any kind of life change, just leaves us with all kinds of challenges, even small life changes. And so, through my life change encouragement kit, it's really my goal to provide you with some practical things that you can do to survive and even thrive during your life change. So, the Standing Like the Stones book is one piece. That
Mm,
kit also contains a life change meditation to help us us release what no longer serves us, and a recording of affirmations with Native American style flute. I do play the Native American style flute, and so I'm honored to offer that as part of the kit as well. Everyone is welcome to get that kit. It is completely free, and it is my great honor to be able to offer it. I'm also honored to be able to offer your listeners a great discount on my individual one-on-one over Zoom distant Reiki healing ceremony. And this is a unique opportunity to really step over a threshold. You know, I mentioned previously that I'm a big believer in the power of ritual, and I've structured the distant Reiki healing ceremony as a way to help us cross over a threshold in our own lives, to mark change, to signal that change is occurring. And so if we're at a point where we're saying, you know, I'm ready for some newness, or I want to step into a new phase, or I've just ended a relationship and I want to mark that in some way, the distant Reiki healing ceremony is there to assist with that process. So it's an honor to be able to offer that as well.
Fabulous. Thank you. And all of those links will be available in the description next to this video. And so I just want to say, Christian, it has been beautiful being able to share with you. And I know that there is probably like one or two things that you might want to say are the major takeaways, and perhaps just a quick summary of like what you hope landed in people's hearts this, through this conversation.
Oh, thank you, Jen. You know, one thing that I really want to encourage all of us to do, particularly when we experience life changes, is to be gentle with ourselves, to be understanding of ourselves, to be kind. Because so often when we experience life changes, we experience a range of emotions, the ups and the downs, even during what we might call positive life changes. We might be feeling feelings of anger or sadness, and we think, why am I feeling this way? What's wrong with me? There's nothing
Mhm.
wrong with you. It's the
Right.
process of life change. So please be kind to yourself. Please be gentle with yourself during any kinds of life change. Please be understanding and have compassion for yourself during those challenging times.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And for those of you who are catching us on the replay, and or those of you who are tuned in live, if you missed any of these days of wisdom where there have been so many people pouring into your own hearts, I'm hopeful that you'll be able to check out the packages that we've created for the heart-centered champion and the heart-centered superstar. And those are ways for you to be connected to the High Vibe Healing Collective, and where we are committed to raising the vibration and amplifying the energies toward dignity and elevating that which is heart aligned, equitable leadership. And so I am so honored that, Christian, you are here with me today, and I'm looking forward to the time where we get to continue this conversation. And thank you again for offering so much generosity of heart in this exchange. And yeah, we just wishing you a beautiful rest of your day. I know that one of the practices we do in the Dancing Data Doctor, and I failed to do it, is we wish you happiness. I wish you happiness. So we wish you happiness as you move on from this moment of listening to this recording and this interview. Thank you so much.